Rosemary oil, okay?
Yay!
It's trending. I've heard you talk about it. Are you obsessed with it? Should everyone be using it? Like, what's the vibe? What is it good for? Tell me everything about rosemary oil.
Yes. Okay, so first question, yes, I am absolutely obsessed with it. I feel like you can very much tell that from my content.
Yeah.
And that is because for me, it's what's worked the best.
Mm-hmm.
As well as every time I post about it, I get, hundreds of DMs that are like, this literally changed my life. Or,
really?
Yes. So I know there's like the social proof is there. So I know it works. Of course, it's going to depend on why you're losing hair. If you're losing hair because you're B12 deficient, rosemary's not going to just miraculously grow your hair back. So I would say most people should be using it just because it's really good at like balancing your scalp and, kickstarting extra hair growth. Even if you're not losing hair, it's going to help fill in your hair, densify.
So do you prefer that over like when brands have like mixed oils?
Yeah. I would say yes, just because there's so many of those on the market and there's so many filler ingredients in there, in most of them, that I just think it's better to mix a pure rosemary oil with like a pure pumpkin seed oil. Just cut right to the chase of what you need. No fillers, no extra anything.
What does pumpkin seed oil do?
So pumpkin seed oil is a carrier oil. So you dilute your rosemary oil with that so it's not too harsh for your scalp.
Oh, so if you are using rosemary oil, you shouldn't just straight up be using it?
Never. You should always dilute it. It's usually about 5 drops of rosemary to a teaspoon of any carrier oil, which would be like pumpkin seed oil, castor oil, argan oil, coconut oil, those types of things.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about rosemary water? Because that's the other thing that I'm constantly seeing. Like, do you like you boil the rosemary and then you like filter it out and like what do you do? What's like and do you like it?
No, exactly that. Exactly that. I personally like the oil better just because there is the scientific research on that topic and there's not much that has come out on rosemary water, but I have, again, had the social proof from so many of my followers saying it works great for them. I did use it with the oil when I was first going through my hair loss journey. And
wait, you had a hair loss journey?
I did. So this is where my whole thing started, was me fixing my own hair loss. And everyone was like, okay, what did you do? Tell me the deeds. And then people started asking me, this is kind of how I got into trichology. They were like, well, what about this issue? Or what about this issue? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. All I know is like how I fixed my own hair loss issue, in 2020 during COVID. And so that's what kind of led me to become a trichologist, so I could help all these other people who were having all these other issues.
So wait, tell me what happened in 2020. Like you started losing your hair all of a sudden? Or?
Yes. So my hair loss is typically stress related.
Yeah.
So it does kind of come and go. If I'm going through like a really high stress period, like this whole temple chunk will fall out. Like will literally drop from my scalp. So I feel like for me, it's kind of like a continuing journey. Like I always have to monitor it. I always have to like monitor my stress levels, be on top of my hair game. And if I slack or if I'm going through, if I lost my aunt earlier this year, it's okay. And that was, a reaction that came, and it's just like, I just constantly have to be monitoring it. Yeah.
And so what happened? Like when you started losing your hair, like what did you start doing? Like tell me your whole journey in terms of like what you started to do that you were like, oh my God, this is insane. Like I need to share it with everyone.
Yeah. So it's hilarious because I did exactly what I now would tell people not to do, which is I went through TikTok and I tried everything all at once. So it was kind of a game of like, let's just do everything and see if anything works. And of course, at first that made my hair loss worse because I'm throwing so much at my poor scalp and hair that I got dried out, more was falling out, I was panicking, and at the end of the day, I was just complete breakdown. I mean, this was in quarantine, so I'm like home alone with my thoughts, seeing my hair, looking at it all day in the mirror, and hair loss can be very emotional for a lot of people.
Totally.
Yeah, so I was definitely going through the emotional side of hair loss too. And so I ended up cutting everything out except for rosemary oil and rosemary water because that's what I had seen the most on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to do this, a couple months, see if it works. If not, a couple months, I'm in quarantine at this point. So I'm like, doesn't matter. If it doesn't work, we'll move to something else. Like nobody's seeing me. And honestly, I just kind of put it into my routine and forgot about it. And all of a sudden one day I'm like getting compliments on my hair. My boyfriend's like, oh, your hair looks, my ex-boyfriend's like, oh, your hair looks, so much thicker these days. And I'm like wearing it up in ponytails and not stressing about covering it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's working. This is what's working finally. And yeah, I started posting about it and doing pictures, like updates every month, and you could literally see it getting thicker and thicker and thicker.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So this really works, rosemary oil.
Totally changed my life personally. So I will like stand behind it for the rest of my life.
Okay, so then let's go a little bit deeper. Like right now, tell me about your pre-wash routine. Like you have your rosemary oil. What else are you doing? Like, are you putting it literally all throughout your like strands? Like, is it just your roots? Like, what are you doing for your strand? Like, just give me everything.
Everything. Okay, so I will say, like, depending on the week and how many products I'm testing out, because I do collabs, but I will never collaborate with any brand that I haven't personally tried out. So I do try a lot of things out. You know, it's not like a normal routine that people have week to week. But when I'm not testing out new products, yes, I will do usually a rosemary oil mixed with a pumpkin seed oil, massage it into my scalp, just enough to cover the scalp. So it's not looking like crazy oily. Like sometimes I see people on TikTok just totally overdo it, and then they're having problems washing it out. And it's like, no, it should be just enough to get some oil on your scalp. And then I'll usually do like a lighter weight oil on my ends, like a Moroccan oil or a jojoba oil.
Why?
Just because it coats your ends, is just a nice shine, and it protects it from the shampoo as well, the harsh shampoo coming down, because your ends don't really need the shampoo. It's really your scalp you're trying to cleanse, right?
Got it, okay.
Yeah. So I will do that. Let it sit for 3 hours. That's all I do.
Do you do a hair mask?
In the shower, yes.
In the shower, so not before?
Not before.
Why?
Because the rosemary oil, that is my hair mask.
Got it.
So that's my before. That's my full before routine.
Okay.
Then I'll shower, do my double cleanse, shampoo as usual. Then I'll do my hair mask in the shower. Let it sit on my hair 10 minutes. You know, maybe I'm shaving my legs, or maybe I'm out of the shower doing something, skincare, a mask. And then back in, wash it out, then conditioner.
Are you a fan of doing the hair mask before the shower, or like mostly in the shower?
Mostly in the shower, honestly, yeah, because most of them say to do it on damp hair. So unless it's specifically, you know, like I know some of the bond building ones will be a before. It just depends what it says. You need to like follow the instructions on the specific mask, because they're all different. Yeah.
Okay, so then you double wash your hair. You do your hair mask. Are you using a conditioner on top of the hair mask, or no?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me like the sequence of events. Like first you wash, then you do hair mask, and then you do conditioner?
Exactly.
Why?
Because the hair mask is what's hydrating your hair. So you want that before the conditioner, because a lot of conditioners will have stuff like sulfates, things that are like coating your hair to protect them from the outside elements. But if you do that before the hair mask, it's coating your hair, and that hair mask can't get in there to hydrate.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And for all the men out there, like people who use like, you know, the 2-in-1s, like the shampoo and conditioner.
Yes.
Like, is this the science behind maybe why you shouldn't be? Okay. See,
exactly, I was like, because it's going on your scalp.
Yeah. I was like, this doesn't, like, even when I was younger, right? And I just like, obviously, like I was not born TikTok age, right? But like, I remember when I was even in like middle school, and there'd be like these 2-in-1s, and I was like, something about this doesn't add up. The math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't mathin'. Like, yeah, it's so true.
How is it conditioning your hair, but it's also washing it? It doesn't.
Right.
Like,
exactly. It's two totally different things. They should not be combined, in my opinion.
Okay, so you guys, if you're out here still using the 2-in-1s, throw it away.
It's done. Its time is over.
It's over. Okay, so what about after you finish in the shower? Like, what are you doing immediately afterwards to your hair? Like, what products are you using? Do you have any favorites?
So, again, depends on the day, depends on the week. Yeah. I would say if it's closer to when I just got my hair dyed, because I do bleach my hair, I'll actually be skipping my conditioner in the shower, and I'll be doing a K18, like a bond building. Outside of the shower. If not, then I will go right into, let's see, lately I've been really liking, I do like leave-in conditioners on my ends, just get that extra hydration. I do a little bit of, I want to say it's the Not Your Mother's, it's like a volumizing mousse. Okay. So I'll do that just to style my hair, and then I've been using the Purology Color Fanatic Heat Protectant. Okay. Before I style.
And then talk to me about the process of blow drying, okay? And I want to talk about regular blow dryer, and then I want to talk about the Dyson Airwrap, okay? Because I have the Dyson Airwrap, and
love it.
I'm obsessed with it.
I'm obsessed with it.
But like, are you supposed to blow dry your hair right after you get out of the shower? Do you let it like sit for a while? Like, what Like, what do you do?
So it really depends on what you're doing in your day. Because so the science behind it is just that your hair is in its weakest state when it's wet.
Okay.
So if you're about to go out in the wind, you know, get your hair all blown around, tangled, or if you're about to go to sleep, lay down, and you're causing friction and damage, then yes, I would say blow dry it right away just to get it dry, get those bonds rebuilt so that it can be stronger when it's withstanding these, you know, things such as like friction on the pillowcase. But if you're just at home hanging out, I usually like to let mine air dry 80% of the way so that it's, you know, it's rebuilding those bonds on its own. It's getting stronger before I apply heat to it.
And does that include the Dyson as well? Or like, is it really?
Yeah. I mean, it's still heat. Like, yes, it's less heat, and yes, it's designed in a way to cause less damage.
Yeah.
Less being the key word. It's not causing no damage. So you still want your hair as strong as possible before you're applying any heat to it.
Okay, so this is what you're saying is super interesting because for me, I'm really lazy with my hair, okay? I have, like, how do I knock? Like, I want to knock on something wood, okay? I have pretty good hair. I take good care of it.
You have gorgeous hair, yeah.
Thank you. But I hate styling my hair. That's what I mean by I'm lazy with it. Like, up until 2 years ago, like, I wouldn't even blow dry it because I was like, I just can't be bothered. Like, it sucks. But now, obviously, I'm like, my hair is like a little bit longer because I had it really short for a long time. Like, okay, I have to apply some heat to like get the frizz out and all of that.
Yeah.
But I just like, what I normally do is because I'm lazy, I'd like let it air dry for like pretty much almost the whole time, and then I like run the blow dryer through it right at the end. But then I was like, okay, like maybe I should be blow drying it before in order to like get the more styled look. But what I was doing is actually the right way to do it, which is like let it okay,
if you're able to, if you're just hanging out at home.
Okay, so I'm just gonna continue going back to my low maintenance because otherwise, my God, when you're blow drying like sopping wet hair, I feel like
so long, and it's so bad for it.
It's a workout. Like, I'm like, I don't need to go to the gym today. Like, no need for any bicep workout.
It's
like,
so true.
It's done. Like,
I have to, like, take breaks.
Truly. So how often do you recommend people wash their hair? Is it like, you know, because people say once a week you want to train your hair. Again, I'm lazy. I do it once a week. But what are your recommendations?
It's very dependent on your scalp type.
Okay.
And your hair type, honestly. But I would say scalp type is the most important. So if you have an oily scalp, there's no training that out. You know, if you have like a really naturally oily scalp, you need to be showering every day, if not every other day, because one of the biggest things with hair growth is having a clean, healthy, you know, balanced scalp. So you want to be removing that oil and giving your hair a chance to breathe and grow. If you have a drier scalp, once a week is fine.
Okay.
Twice a week is a good, like, happy medium. That's what I do. That's what, you know, a lot of people, I would say, could get away with.
And then do you typically, like, are you usually doing like the Dyson or like, do you also do like these heatless things?
Yes. So I kind of go back and forth. I love the Dyson. I love how it makes my hair look. So I will typically do that maybe once a week, like on a Friday, let's say. So my hair's good Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like the whole weekend's looking nice and Dyson air wrapped. And then on Monday when I shower again, I'll do a heatless curl just to give my hair a break. Yeah.
Like, are there certain things that we can consume that help with hair growth and other things that kind of like slow it down?
Totally. Yeah. So nutrition is huge with hair growth. Getting enough protein, I would say, is one of the best things you can do for your hair, as well as drinking enough water, because that's hydrating your hair from the inside. As far as things that are really bad for your hair, you know, you got sugar, you got alcohol.
Wait, why?
Smoking cigarettes. It's inflammation. It's all things that are inflammatory, not only to the gut, but to the hair.
Got it.
So, because everything that travels, you know, in the gut, it's also affecting your hair.
Does caffeine have any impact on hair growth at all?
Yes. So over-consuming caffeine, not good for your hair, but I mean, a typical like 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day, totally fine.
What's interesting is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I've seen caffeine as an ingredient for hair growth serums. Why is that?
Yes. So caffeine topically has the reverse. It's great for hair growth. It stimulates the hair follicle. Yeah.
So then can you theoretically use like a coffee scrub on the scalp, or is that not something you'd recommend?
I mean, yes, you can, but because a scrub, like the nature of a scrub is to be washed right off. Yeah. Whereas like a topical that's staying on your scalp for anywhere from 3 hours to longer, that's going to do a lot more for you than just something you're doing really quick and washing off.
Are you a fan of scalp serums? Like, I know like there's so many. Okay, do you have any favorites that you can name off the top of your head?
I really liked the Vegamore Grow. That's one that has rosemary in it. It's one of those that I just felt like it was really nice and hydrating for my scalp.
And do you do that before, like after you shower, or like is it an everyday thing?
Yeah, so the Vegamore Grow is really lightweight, and it's a leave-in actually. So you just do it after you shower and you leave it in. I'm trying to think. Miele is another one. That's one with rosemary oil. One of those where, of course, it does have some like filler ingredients that I'm not a huge fan of, but that was the first thing that I started with as far as rosemary oil goes, because it's cheap. It was like $10 at Target. It's available at the drugstores. I'm like, I'm just going to try it out. And that was my first like experience with rosemary oil. So I'll forever love that one.
What are filler ingredients that people should be looking out for when they're shopping for like oils and hair products?
It really depends. I mean, I think a lot of the time, if there's more than like 10 ingredients, it's kind of a tell, like, okay, what are all these things in this little tiny bottle of oil? Just doing your own research on ingredients. But things that I don't love are like fragrance. Like, why do you need a fragrance in in an oil? And the term fragrance is just a blanket term. Like, you have no idea what's in that. It could be so many things. So I just don't love to see that.
What about, like, are you a fan of then, like, hair perfumes? Like, if it's, like, a clean hair perfume or no? Or indifferent?
I haven't seen a clean hair perfume out there.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, but granted, I haven't, like, delved into that too deeply, so I can't really say if I am or am not.
Would you say, like, if someone puts, like, their actual perfume in their hair, is that bad for them?
That's a great question. Probably, just because most perfumes have like alcohol in it. Yeah, so it's pretty drying. I mean, I don't know how much you're like putting in your hair if it's just like a
throwing in
from
the whole
far away. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people were actually very interested in me chatting with you about dandruff. So if someone does have dandruff, what can they do? Because let me tell you, my husband's out here using Selsun Blue, and I do not, like,
I've never even heard of that.
Have you not?
No.
Okay, I'm going to show you after the podcast interview, but I'm like, this smells going to make me choke and die. Like,
really?
Yeah, like, it's so chemical, like, like so severely. I'm like, is there anything else? So apparently other people have dandruff too. So what can people do?
Yeah, so it does again come down to like the cause of the dandruff, because it could be an internal thing, or it could be dry scalp, or it actually could be an oily scalp, because dandruff can be caused from overproduction of oil as well.
Interesting.
Or it could be a imbalance in the microbiome that's coming from like a yeast or something. Like, it just depends on the cause. I would say one of my favorite ingredients that I've just seen work personally is zinc parathione. So that's a good one to look out for in shampoos.
Buy something with that, you would say?
A shampoo with zinc parathione, and using that like twice a week, every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would that help both a dry and an oily scalp, or like is the protocol different depending on like the kind of scalp that you have?
Yeah, I would say it's more for like a dry scalp. Oily scalp dandruff, honestly, the best thing you can do is just get a gentle shampoo, like a really natural, gentle shampoo, and shampoo every day.
Got it.
Just to keep that oil production at bay.
And do you, like, have you seen people have like dandruff or like scalp reactions based on the quality of water as well? Because like, there's like shower heads and stuff that filter out like, I guess, like harsh things within the water, or like indifferent.
Yeah, I haven't seen it personally, but I would think that, like hard water could definitely do that.
Yeah, because I know that the quality of water is so different wherever you go. And like, I feel it in my own hair, where like I'm not prone to dandruff per se, but like I'll just feel like my hair literally feels like rougher, like hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have a shower filter and I've had one for a long time, so
I
get it. But it's I think I went through that in college a little bit, just feeling like lifeless and dull and heavy.
Yeah. So I don't know, I think like water filters for the shower, like for me personally, like I really like having one, and so I'm just like I was really curious as to whether you'd seen anything or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about wearing your hair up, because as you can see today, and literally most days of the week, I have my hair up. Do you have any rules for, number one, how often, number two, like the type of elastic band, like what do you recommend?
So my recommendation would be no more than once a week. As far as like the tight model bun, you can wear it up in different, like a bun or a braid or different styles, as long as you're changing those styles around. Like, I know there's people that'll wear their hair in a ponytail the exact same spot every single day, all day. And that's what's going to cause this traction alopecia, not only of the temples, but also the tight elastic on the same exact spot in your hair can break your hair off right there.
Okay, I have to change the way that I'm doing things, I feel like, because this is like my go-to, just because, again, I don't wash my hair more than once a week because I'm lazy. And so like when day 4 or 5, I would say 5 comes around for the last 2 days, like this is it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even just moving it an inch up, an inch down.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just little changes help a lot.
Okay, so I'm not horrible then.
Not horrible.
Sometimes it's like up, sometimes it's down. Okay, I'll play around.
Yeah.
What about when someone is going to bed? Like what do you, like how should someone be sleeping? Because now that my hair is as long as it is, I just like kind of like put it up with like very loosely with like a silk elastic band, so that it's like kind of towards the top of my head but not tight,
Yes.
But like it, like what is the right way to do things?
That's perfect. Any kind of like protective style with a silk band, like I really like a really loose low braid with a silk elastic, and then you can also use a silk cap on top of that, and a silk pillowcase, which is also good for your facial skin.
Why?
So, like sleeping on silk is just amazing.
But why?
Hair.
Like, what's the science behind it?
Because I just know cotton can be like very rough on the hair. So like you're tossing and turning, it's causing friction, it's damaging your hair. And, hair growth does come from the scalp, but length retention is also a big part of growing your hair out. So you want to be protecting your ends while you sleep, because that's when a lot of damage happens. And silk is just so much softer on the hair.
If you could build out like an ideal routine for someone, what would you say it is? Like, what would you have them be doing? Like when they're sleeping, like all of that.
Like just a bedtime routine?
Like bedtime. Also, like how, I guess, like when they're washing their hair, like should they be going to bed with wet hair? Like,
no.
Okay, so no.
No, it's hard to build someone a routine unless I know the person, because, again, people have so many different hair types, scalp types, lifestyle factors that are going into it. So it's hard to do it without knowing who I'm building it for. But there are like general things you can do especially for length retention. The Rosemary mask before you shower at least twice a week, 3 times max. Before bed, doing just like a lightweight oil on your ends, putting it in a protective style, sleeping on silk. I really like a silk bonnet, but some people, it falls off their head, so they like a silk pillowcase better. Totally fine, as long as your hair is in a protective style. Washing your hair according to your scalp type. So oily scalps more often, dry scalps less often, but you're still washing at least once a week.
How often are you brushing your hair? Is it every day?
Yeah, I brush my hair twice a day. So once in the morning right when I wake up, and once when I go to bed.
And is that good for you? Is that like it helps distribute the oils, I'm guessing? Or like what does it do?
Yeah, so like brushing your scalp especially is great for your scalp, but brushing your hair, of course, causes damage. So you want to kind of, I have a scalp massager, and I'll do that just through my scalp, like not through my ends. So like the brushing of the ends I only do twice a day, and I do it really slow. I start from the bottom, go up, I'm not causing as little damage as I can.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got a scalp massager pretty recently, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm like, how did I go my whole life without this thing? It's
life-changing.
Oh my God. I'm like, this is like a built-in head massage every day. Like, it's the
so
best.
Nice. It's so nice.
I usually use it on days that I'm like putting my oil, which was yesterday, and oh my God, I was like, this is so relaxing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like relaxing too.
It's the best. Okay, so I want to move on to audience questions, because we actually got a whole lot of them.
Okay.
So the first one is combing wet hair bad?
Technically, yes. I know a lot of people have to do it, especially curly girls. So my advice would be to use a wet brush or a wide tooth comb, a really gentle, way of doing it. Start from the bottoms, go up, go as slow as you can. Maybe do it with conditioner in your hair, so you're like avoiding some of that breakage as well.
If someone doesn't have curly hair and say like they don't absolutely need to brush their hair after washing, would you recommend they let it dry for a little bit before?
Yes,
really?
Definitely. Again, because going back to your hair's in its weakest state when it's wet. So brushing causes damage, so you're doing that while it's wet too. You're stretching, you're breaking. It's just, if you can avoid it, you should.
Okay, on that note, actually, while we're talking about wet hair, I've seen a lot of people say that you should be using a microfiber towel versus a regular towel for your hair. Is that true, or does it really not make that big a difference?
Yeah, it's true. It's just like the cotton pillowcases. Cotton towels are harsh on your hair, especially because a lot of people are, roughing their hair up, whereas a microfiber towel, it dries it a lot quicker, which, again, when your hair dries, it gets stronger. So it's drying it quicker. It's, you put it in, flip it up. You can let it sit there while you do your makeup. It's just a lot gentler on your hair.
Okay, so I should probably buy a microfiber towel.
Yes.
Okay, so what can someone do if they lose a ton of weight and experience hair loss?
That's a great question. So losing hair after losing weight, it's like a stress reaction. So your hair is falling out because of this huge change in your body, right? It's the same thing as if you got in a car accident or a relative died. It's a stressor. So typically stress-related hair loss, your hair will start falling after about 3 months. So you lose all this weight. About 3 months later, you can expect to lose some hair, which is why post-pregnancy, you have your baby 3 months later, you suddenly are losing hair. It's a stressor on the body.
Is there anything you can even do like preventatively?
Yeah, I mean, just things like the rosemary oil would be a great one, just to keep stimulating that new hair growth while the old hair is going to fall out. It is going to fall out. There's nothing you can do to stop it. But you can start these measures like rosemary oil, hair mask to keep your length retention, stuff like that. Honestly, with stress-related hair loss, it's just being patient because it is going to grow back.
Okay.
It's just, it falls out 3 months after, and then typically around 6 months you see it start coming back.
Have you seen, like, specifically, even if there's fluctuations with hormones, like where people start losing their hair?
Oh yeah, hormones are huge factor. That's why like menopausal women will be losing their hair. Hormones are a big reason for hair loss.
And then if someone does experience something like this, do you recommend that they go speak to like a hormonal specialist, or like what's their like, I guess like what's their like, what's the next step like that they should take?
So of course, being me, my first step would be go see a trichologist, just because we do specialize in hair loss. So if it's something that's more of a hormonal issue or whatever the issue is, we can determine what that underlying issue is and send you to the correct person. Whereas if you immediately go to someone thinking like, oh, it might be because of this, if it's not the right person, they're still going to try to treat you. You know what I mean? And a lot of people experience hair loss for more than one reason. So it might be like, oh, okay, you're having hair loss because like genetics, like your family has hair loss, it's genetic, but also this huge stressor happened in your life, and also you're going through menopause. Like there's usually a lot of different factors. So it's like, okay, I can treat you for this, I can help with this, I can give you topicals, I can give you supplements, and then you need to go see, a hormonal specialist for this part of it.
What about for, like, I know that's for men specifically, like they could have that genetic where their like hairline starts receding at a certain age. Is it possible to reverse that at all, or no?
Somewhat. The issue is after 3 years, let's say you've lost hair in a certain spot, after 3 years of no hair being there, the follicle usually shrinks and dies. So the quicker you address it, the better. Yeah.
Got it.
So it's like, this is a big thing that I think is missing in hair care right now is preventative measures, starting to address it before it's even happening or right when you notice it happening, which a lot of the time is like teenage boys these days, teenage girls even. So it's like, they're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about hair loss when they're 18, but, this is when we need to be addressing it.
So then should they just be using like rosemary oil or is it like topicals? Like what can they be doing? Like if someone is younger, like, right, like it's someone who's like a teenager and maybe they don't have the means to come to a trichologist, like what are some things that they can do at home?
Absolutely. Starting with rosemary oil, looking at lifestyle too, making sure they're eating high protein, lots of fruits and veggies, fiber, getting enough sleep and water, and not abusing alcohol, not smoking cigarettes, just doing everything you can do to keep that hair. If you can keep your hair, that's the best way to go is preventative, of course.
I completely agree. And I was having this conversation with my brother. So we have, unfortunately, the bald gene in our fam for men. And so one of my brothers, like, he's, like, been losing a little bit of hair. And he's like, oh, I don't care. I'll just, like, shave it. Because he's been shaving it since he was young. And, like, it looks good on him. But I'm like, why would you want to do this when you have the option to, like, retain hair? And then you can do whatever you want. Like, shave your whole head off. But, like, at least you can grow it if you want to.
Exactly. Like, especially with men, they just don't think about it until all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, I have no option. It's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's
how
like,
do I get this back?
Exactly, and then it's like, let me get a hair transplant, and I'm like, that's fine if that's what you want, but like, if there's things that we can do,
to
kind
just
of
keep it.
like, why? It's like 5 minutes.
So
just
true.
put the rosemary oil on your head.
So true. Yeah. I see that a lot where I'm like,
I actually made my brother buy rosemary oil and
Did
a scalp
you?
massager. I like
Amazing.
literally put it in his Amazon cart. I was like, you are getting this. This is
Oh my
like
gosh.
$15. Like, there's no excuse.
yeah, in 10 years, he's going to be like, you saved my life.
Yeah, truly. If he doesn't come back to me and say thank you and buy me something really nice, like. Okay, so speaking of hair loss, and this may be, I don't know if you have seen this or not, but I've heard a few friends say that when they went off of birth control, they lost a bunch of hair. Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing. Again, comes back to the stress-related hair loss. So it's so funny because medications are a big one for hair loss, either getting off medications or getting on medications, or the medication itself causes hair loss. So,
Interesting.
it might be a medication like birth control where it maybe not necessarily causes hair loss, but it's just such a big difference in your body. You've been on it for 10 years and all of a sudden that's gone from your life. So typically 3 months after getting off birth control, yeah, you're going to lose some hair, but it will grow back.
Is it also possible for like the strands to get weakened and like break? Because this was something that I heard, which I was like, what the hell? So like someone I know, she showed me pictures of her hair. It was like gorgeous, like healthy hair. And she's like, I went off of birth control and my hair literally started breaking. And I'd never heard of that. So I was just curious as to whether you'd seen something like that in the past.
I have not seen that. I've seen kind of the temple loss of the stress-related hair loss.
Yeah.
I have not seen it breaking off
Yeah.
from getting off of birth control.
Have you ever seen people's like hair start to snap towards like the middle? Like,
Yeah.
Why does that happen?
Usually from elastics being put in the same exact spot.
Okay.
Or their hair is just really dry and brittle because they're usually like deficient in something like vitamin D or omega-3s, stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Yeah, or heat, using a straightener or curling in the same spot every day with heat. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the best products to get more volume and thin hair? Do you have any recommendations?
More volume. I have really fine hair. I know it doesn't look like it because I have a lot of it.
Well, you've cracked the
I
code.
have a lot of it, but it's fine.
Okay.
So I really struggle with volume. I use the Not Your Mother's mousse, volumizing mousse. I'm obsessed with it. It's the only mousse I can use because it's like lightweight enough that it doesn't make my scalp oily, which I do have an oily scalp naturally. So I am someone who needs to shower more frequently, shampoo more frequently.
Yeah.
Also, like a texturizing spray. So if you're doing like curls or the Dyson Airwrap, holding those curls out and spraying a texturizing spray is great. It makes it look so much fuller than it actually is.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, I live for texturizing sprays.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it just makes me like double the size, quite literally.
Yes, literally. I just learned about them.
It's the best.
It's like it changed my entire life.
I'm obsessed with it. Okay, how often should people be using a detox shampoo?
Like a clarifying shampoo. It's going to depend on your scalp and hair type. So if you have a dry scalp, dry hair, I would say maybe once a month or once every 3 weeks. If you have oily hair like me, I'll use it every other week, if not sometimes every week, if I'm putting, a lot of product in it, a lot of mousse on my scalp.
Is what it does, I'm guessing, is like just make sure that there's no product kind of like sticking around.
Exactly. It gets rid of product buildup. It's just like a really deep cleanse.
Do you have a favorite clarifying shampoo?
I do. Personally, the Odell clarifying shampoo, I love it. My hair loves it. It's budget friendly. I love the company. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of microneedling for the hair or the scalp? Sorry, not the hair.
Microneedling?
Yeah, it's like those like little things that you like run over and it like punctures your scalp a little bit. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yes. I will say there's a difference between microneedling, like the derma roller, and the derma stamp.
What's the derma stamp?
The stamp, it's the same thing, but you're just stamping instead of rolling.
Okay,
and so if you have long hair, you're going to want to do the stamp because rolling, you're actually damaging your hair.
Interesting.
So the rolling is more for like men, let's say, who are trying to regrow their beard and don't have anything there, or like, really short hair, that it's not like damaging your hair the way it is a woman's or a longer hair.
Got it. So, and like this, it works like if you are doing...
Yeah, it's supposed to. It helps, topicals penetrate deeper in there.
Got it. And how often should you be doing that if you choose to do it?
Twice a week, same as when you're doing your rosemary. Yeah.
It's like a whole routine around it.
It's a whole routine, exactly.
Okay. I guess like we've kind of already talked about this because I'm going to guess that it has to do with stress related also, but a lot of questions about remedies for postpartum hair loss. Is there things that we can like that people can do right away, or is it again like just the rosemary oil and like all the kind of things
the rosemary oil, although I will say rosemary oil's not proven to be safe when you're breastfeeding. So you know, that's one you kind of have to look out for. It's honestly just like keeping your stress level down, realizing it is going to grow back. It's not permanent. You know, you can expect it 3 to 4 months after giving birth, and then 6 months, 3 months after that, so 6 months total, you can expect it to start coming back.
Are there any other oils outside of rosemary oil that you really love?
I mean, there's a couple. There's like lavender essential oil, peppermint essential oil that do have some science behind them. I have tried them personally. I feel like they're really good maintenance oils, but they haven't had that pop effect that rosemary did for me.
So what about coconut oil then? Because I feel like rosemary oil, it's interesting because I had never heard of it up until like maybe 2 years ago when it really started to pop off. Whereas like I feel like coconut oil or castor oil, I feel like people have been talking about for an eternity, you know?
Right. So coconut oil and castor oil are actually carrier oils.
Got it. Okay.
So they're, you know, what I would put the rosemary into. I use castor oil on my eyebrows and my eyelashes, and I feel like it works, whether that's just because it's coating it and keeping damage or not. There's not a ton of science on it, so, you know, it's kind of just comes down to personal opinion on those ones because there's not science out on it yet.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you again before we wrap. With carrier oils, it's like 4 to 5 drops of rosemary oil to 1 drop of carrier oil?
To 1 teaspoon of carrier oil.
1 teaspoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it should be predominantly the carrier oil with a couple drops of essential oil.
And then you just like mix it in your hand and like just kind of put it on. And then...
I mix it in my fingertips and then just kind of run my fingertips through, do some like massaging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like everyone's going to be racing to buy rosemary oil and like a carrier oil after this.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at The Healthy Her on Instagram or TikTok.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.